Hello everybody, this is Marcus Toole and I am in my home orchard, and what you are looking at is one of my three Pink Frost grapefruit trees, which is producing a sizable crop of grapefruit for the first time this year. This particular tree produced about 3 or 4 grapefruit about 3 years ago, just enough to let me know that this is a pink grapefruit, just to let me know that the variety makes fruit that's every bit as good as the pink grapefruit you buy in a grocery store. I would venture to say that generally the first year that a citrus tree produces fruit, the fruit is of a lower quality, quite a bit lower quality than what it produces once it gets older. So I expect the fruit on this tree to be much better this year than it was 2 years ago. Pink Frost is a variety. Let's take a little closer look at the fruit here. So, they're still green, typical of grapefruit at this stage. I have a ruby red grapefruit tree that has one fruit on it this year, which look a lot like those. This particular tree over here has a grapefruit that's beginning to turn a little bit, and it's you could tell that the fruit of it is kind of a cross between a yellow and a pink when it's mature. I'll come over here and show you the ruby red. Now I'll tell you, ruby red is really not cold tolerant enough for our climate. This tree got hurt real bad 2 years ago when we had 16 degrees for about 2 hours, actually about 3 hours, whereas the Pink Frost, which is much more out in the open, in a less protected environment, it really sailed through it with minimal damage. It lost its leaves and the twigs got burnt, but that was about the extent of the damage. The tree itself survived just fine, with only the trunk being protected with some styrofoam wrapped around it. Styrofoam that was designed for protecting pipes from freezing. I have over here another one. This tree actually was planted at the same time, and it was in a different location, and it just was not thriving in that location, I think for soil reasons. And I moved it over here, and this is kind of a crowded spot. It's next to a wild plum tree, and it's kind of close to this Arctic frost satsuma, and it's close to a camellia bush that I will keep cut back. So it's in a kind of a congested spot, but it will do okay in that spot. I won't allow that tree to get very big. Actually, I won't allow any of the trees to get real big. What I wanted to do is just kind of offer a little bit of a tentative evaluation of the Pink Frost fruit, give a little bit of its history. This strain was developed by the University of Georgia at its Tifton experiment station in Tifton, Georgia. It is currently being sold by a company called Georgia Grown Citrus. I think that's still the only company that has the rights to sell this, and I don't know if they can ship out of state outside of Georgia or not. I do know that they do sell to a few citrus orchards and nurseries, that you could probably buy it at a local garden center in some places in Georgia. I know there's an orchard in town that sells it during the spring. So you can get it in multiple places, but if you don't live in Georgia, my guess is the only source of it is Georgia Grown Citrus, and I don't know if they can sell it out of state or not. Based on one cold winter night, not last winter, but the winter before last, I think I can say that as long as this strain is not actively growing, it will survive, you know, a few hours of 16 degrees just fine. You know, I don't know that it probably wouldn't survive it if it's actively growing. You know, if we had a warm winter followed by a hard freeze and it got down to 16 degrees when it's breaking dormancy, that may be a completely different conversation. In fact, both the University of Georgia and Georgia Grown Citrus both warned that very well may be the case. But it did survive that one winter cold and without a whole lot of protection. And I can tell you just from the experience of eating a few of the fruit that they are sweet. They taste as good as the pink grapefruits in the store. I do know that there is a local orchard in town that has a few hundred trees of these, and they are saying that the fruit on their trees has a higher Brix, has a higher sugar to water concentration than the ruby red, and which you know implies that it is a sweeter fruit, the ruby red. It also ripens a little earlier in the season than ruby red, which means that the fruit itself is less likely to get yacked by a early frost before it ripens. What I'll say about ruby red is that I got significant damage on it that freeze 2 years ago in a more protected location. It is supposed to be cold tolerant to 20 degrees, and I would say that that's probably about right. So as you can look, you know, from the pear trees, and I have plum trees in the yard. I have a muscadine vine in the yard. My climate is borderline 8B, 9A. I'm probably just barely on the 9A side of things. Other places in the county I live in will be just barely on the 8B side of things, but I'm next to downtown, so I get a little bit of downtown heat. So that's the situation with Pink Frost. I recommend it, and if you live in South Georgia and you want a grapefruit tree, this is probably the only variety I can recommend. Thank you, and God bless. Bye.